In today's episode of the Pathmark Presents podcast, I'm here with Christina Kay, and she is hailing over from the Reseller Ratings. She's the head of marketing, and we're going to be learning all about the product and what the team is up to over there. So, Christina, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Very cool. Yeah, give us a 360 overview. What is Reseller Rating all about?
Yep. So Reseller Ratings is a leading UGC, so user generated content platform. We have over 3,000 brands generating over, I think, 11 million consumer reviews. And with really focusing on having that high standard and quality with like ethics. So the reviews are authentic and really highlighting the customers or our customers in a sense, and bringing that story throughout their whole journey and using their products online. Our review suite is utilized with the most authentic, crowd driven, reputable UGC for online purchases. And with Reseller Ratings, our clients are just consistently advocating for their customers. And with our product, it's easy to show the love for products using our software.
Very cool. Could you tell us sort of the businesses that are leveraging the platform? Like, what would be a typical client, and maybe what would be sort of the typical pain that they would come in and say Reseller Ratings is really what we need?
Yeah. So a couple of our clients would be like Zenny Optical, Fabletics, Proactive. We have some in the like auto industry space in the sense of like auto parts. So talking to different dealerships in that sense to say like, hey, do you have this one? Hey, do you have that one? Like that type of space. We have B2B software like SaaS companies. It's really the whole gamut in a sense. But a lot of our bigger companies like that you would know as like a brand are in the retail space.
Awesome. And sort of what is or maybe who would raise the flag within those companies and says, I really need Reseller Ratings? Is that like a head of marketing? Is that like a customer service lead? Like, where does it sit?
Yeah, so that's a really great question because for every company it differs. So it really depends on the industry, but a lot of the times we see it in that marketing world. If it also might be customer service, it might be in the e-com side of the business. It really could differ depending on our customers' own goals and strategies and where their customer experience lies. Because it could be in marketing, it could be in that the social media side of social media management and responding to feedback. It could be on the e-com side because it could be really focused on those like SKU numbers and everything like that and pulling those in. So it really could depend on the business. And honestly, we do have touch points and like talk to almost all of those titles you kind of just described to really pull the company through a transition, I guess you could say, with UGC and ratings and reviews.
Interesting. If you as a marketer, how do you think about their journey on how they get started, with Reseller Ratings? Like what would be, a couple of examples maybe of client acquisition channels that, you're excited about and have been working well for Reseller Ratings?
Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting to look at our journey through like customer acquisition and see what works for us. Because in the beginning, we were super, like, as I always say this, and this could be like a humble brag in a sense, I guess you could say, we're like the pioneers of ratings and reviews because we've been around for a while. But with the changes of different parent companies and where we're at now being like this 10-year-old startup that has an active client base that's like not a normal startup, that has that 10 years of data and experience, it's definitely changed through the years. And in the beginning, it was definitely product driven in the sense of where everything like the revenue came from. And now it's kind of switched to that sales side. And we definitely want to get back to the product side of it because we do have this great like freemium, quote unquote, tier that we could really enhance our marketing with. And we haven't really touched on doing that recently, which is so crazy, I know, but we're in the midst of so many different marketing things. And I'm sure as marketers are listening, they'll totally understand that there's so many things you want to do and you can't do it all at once. And so like right now we're going through this big like migration for like different tech we're on. And like, that's obviously super important, but on that, it's really, we're noticing what channels have worked for us, what channels haven't, or maybe they haven't for a certain time, but because of the world state we've been in the past year and a half with COVID, as you probably know, I mean, me being a female, I love shopping and I've always shopped online, but retail online has increased. So really getting to our customers to say like, hey, your customers are actually online. And so getting to maybe not just emailing, but using different avenues to talk to our customers, having that acquisition point, because we really want to have them help in a way increase their revenue. Because if they increase their revenue, they're happy with us.
And what role do you think the website plays if we're looking at, the companies, the B2B side of things? Like what role do you attribute to the website?
Mm-hmm. So our website, actually, it's kind of a lot of people here describe it almost as its own like search engine in a sense, because if you would Google like Nike reviews, or if you would Google like Zenny Optical reviews, a lot of the times we are on the first page. And because we have so much history of those different reviews, one for just like our domain in general, like the authority, but also if you go to our website, there's a search box right at the top, like of the header, of the hero image. And you could put any site on there really. And if you don't see this site, I would be very surprised, but you could put it on there and there's reviews on there. So I feel like SEO has definitely helped us for so many years in a sense of organic, but it's not even, it's not even the fact of like our own content to like for B2B to like get customers like searching blogs for it, but like finding us from just reviewing products that they as a person working at a B2B company could be using.
Interesting. And how do you think about, it's always interesting with those pages that address both the end user for the ratings and the actual businesses. Like, how do you think about the role of the B2B part of the website? I know there's a part where you can go and say, for companies, how do you think about this, and what role does that part of the page play?
Because if you, as a end user, if you would go to for companies, that site, that's obviously not for you. Like, you would be so confused. Like, I don't know what this is trying to have me do. But in the sense of for companies on that side of our site, it really tells the story in a sense of why you need to have like UGC or ratings and reviews on your site, because ultimately the people buying products, even if you are a B2B company that uses rating reviews, they want to see it in action. Like you could, and especially if it comes to clothes, you want to buy a jacket that is, you'll know if it's fits too big, too large, too tight. You want that just because, and you want to like see someone in it that might like look like you in the sense of like body shape or anything, so having that on our site for the company side and telling that story, putting their shoes or being in the shoes of their own customers is something that we want to put across, because that's super important in the world we live in, especially on the digital side of just being online.
Super interesting. I mean, you highlighted quite nicely there that they can actually experience what other will experience in ratings. So super interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe last question on that before we move on into learning about different sides of reseller ratings today. The marketers we speak to in the podcast, they're typically quite critical with their sites. Maybe let's say we stick to the company websites of 4 companies. Where do you see the major strength, and where do you see room for improvement even for the site? Like what do you have in mind for this page?
Yeah. So on our like 4 companies side of the website, I feel I'll start with like lacking, I guess you could say. I feel like there's some areas that could really highlight more of how our software looks in the sense like on our various customers sites, because we show a lot on how it could show up on Google search, which is super important. That's a very big deal with a lot of our I said retailers, but that's not what I wanted to say. A lot of our customers. And then in the sense of just like the spacing on some things, like there's just certain things that I would like to change, just be like the creative brand side of my brain, just to like change it up a bit, and have it be really a site that someone could go to and toggle through any of those areas at top, like the seller ratings and product reviews and visual marketing, social Q&A, local Google partnership, things like that. I feel like at every toggle, I guess you could say, has that like book a demo side of it. And I feel like maybe we would test it out to not have it, do some A/B testing on it to see if it's too soon to have it at the top, or have it in the sense of a pop-up because we notice they've clicked on every single one of the toggles, maybe at this fifth one, it comes up. Things like that would be pretty cool to kind of see and like test, I feel. Because I've been on both sides, the sense of a like a B2C side and like B2B. And I feel when I was on the B2C, if I'm wearing that hat, I'm looking at a site and at first I'm just looking to digest and read and see like what they offer versus like a competitor, things like that. And then eventually, like obviously you're going to get you'll see the book a demo buttons, but you want to be like ready for it, And I feel like maybe having it at the top every page, maybe we can change that up or A/B test it to see if we could do it by so many different pages they're on and then display it that way. And I feel like that is where it lacks. But what I love about it is the consistency of our branding. We're a very fun brand in the sense of people were fun, obviously, but just like the brand, like online before you see the actual faces, of people that work there. It's just fun. And I like the inclusion of different people, just like ethnicities on the site. It's super, I love that about it. I love how we talk about our brand, and that might just be me being like the marketer. We're just very authentic, I feel. And we also just carry them through the journey of deciding if they want to join us and really thinking about their customer and how it could impact them versus us saying, we're the best, you should join us. It's kind of like your customers matter, like be where they are,
Very good. I want to switch gears a little bit, right? We talked about digital marketing, we talked about the website, we talked about different strategies. I want to talk a little bit about you because it's quite interesting, when we have marketers on the show, like how they deal with all the information out there about digital marketing. I mean, every day there's thousands of new articles. Yeah. What do you do? Like, how do you filter? Like, where do you like to learn in regards to digital marketing, and how do you find your way through the jungle, basically?
Yeah. So, like you said, there's so much to digest. Even like every social media, obviously, has something to digest, whether or not marketing or not, but it's something. For me, I love like conferences or like digital conferences, I guess you could say right now, but I am speaking at a conference in a couple weeks, and it's like the first in-person one in a year and a half. So I'm super excited to like be around people and that factor and like learn as well. I love LinkedIn. I have a couple people that I follow. A lot of them are people like growth marketers, as well as people at the technologies that we use, like in our tech stack. Because of that, our tech stack, we have like CSMs. And so even in the fact of maybe this is not reading, but I email them and say like, hey, like, what podcast are you listening to today that's inspired you? Just because for me, I am very, I have habits and I listen to the same podcasts and I listen to or read the same authors, and it's been that way for almost like 10 years, so having that expansion of my own learning, because you could be set, especially in marketing, and marketing changes every day. And you have to be on your toes with it. So being able to be like uncomfortable with your own self and your learning is super important. And so for me, that's why I might reach out to someone on LinkedIn, that it might even be someone who's like entry level in marketing and saying like, hey, what are you reading? Because then for me, that helps me with like building teams out. It helps me like see where their space is, because there's in the digital world, and it's like with social media, especially some of the stuff I probably don't even know the app is even around, so I like to expand with not just those influencers, I guess you could say, on LinkedIn, but talking to people who are like hands on keyboard and learning their own selves, because if they're learning something, I can learn from them.
Good. A quick plug, like where can people hear you speaking? You mentioned you're going to be on the conference.
Yeah. So it's a conference by Demand Gen Report. It's the B2B Sales and Marketing Expo. It's in Boston. It is August, goodness, I think it's the 9th through the 11th. And I'll be talking all about RevOps and your MarTech stack and how to use that to increase revenue.
Awesome. Really cool. Since we're slowly wrapping up the interview, I want to ask you sort of the last question that we, like to pose, which is essentially if you would be sort of do a little time travel with me, right? And if you, get yourself back into the times of, Michigan State University, and, you're heading out there and you're getting into the world of marketing, what's the one advice you would give yourself?
Goodness. So that's a funny question because I am an anomaly in the situation of I grew up with college professors and teachers, and I grew up like on a college campus. I did not Michigan State's campus, but so I've kind of always known what I wanted to do because I was like reading. This was back when college catalogs were actually printed and not online. And so I like would read classes and things like that. And when I first started, it was like public relations because I wanted to work for like Cosmopolitan magazine or like 17. But then I kind of had this love for just like online, and things like that. And changing my MySpace page, like things like that. That was such like the beginning of what we are in now of social media. But to myself, I guess, are you asking me for advice, like what my advice I would give myself or like where I would start?
What would you give, which advice you would give yourself for your career
Mm-hmm.
into marketing? Like what would be the one piece of advice that you give
Yeah.
yourself?
I would say just like be okay with the unknown and like being scared to like jump and do things. When I was finishing college, it was a little after I finished, but I moved to Dubai for a job, and everybody's like, "What are you doing?" Like, and I was like, at first I'm like, I really don't know, but this is an experience that I can't say no to. So to people who are in college or people who are starting their career in marketing, like don't be afraid to jump and learn, especially if you have like some type of feeling of the want to learn, even if it's coding something or learning how to build a computer or like something like that, because it's all going to add up to where you are, like where you're going to be long term. I feel like all of my unknown experiences has led to me to where I'm at now.
Very cool. Christina, really appreciate it. You took the time with us today to be a guest on Pathmark Presents. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed, what's the one thing that they should remember about reseller ratings?
Yes. We love to say here at Reseller Ratings that like we give a crap, like we really care about our customers and we really truly care about our customer's customer. Like we want them to have their best experience on their like the customer's website, because then ultimately everybody's happy essentially, and they can have that best experience through their own brand and finding loyalty through posting and just being heard online.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathmark Presents.
Thank you so much.